Yo, what's happening, guys? It's your boy Uncle P with another episode of Uncle P's podcast. Let's shift a little bit. Let's shift gears to things that are more important than cooking Nigerians. But don't get me wrong, I'm coming. There's a lot. But guys, there's a serious situation that's happening in Africa, the continent, and South Africa is in the center of it that I think most of us are not paying attention to. We thought that South Africa was being sold to Nigeria, or rather yet the borders being opened and all this, but it's Africa that is being sold to China, the whole of Africa, and Nigeria has a big role to play in this. Nigerians are about to start bragging. No guys, this is not something to brag about. So I want to play a very long video about what the Chinese people are investing in Africa. There's thousands and thousands. This is a series that I'm going to be doing on the Chinese, and hopefully I don't get unalived for exposing this. So let's get to the show. I'm hoping to keep every single one of these episodes at 10 minutes. I can see my clock. These videos are quite long, like the one I'm about to play is already 10 minutes on its own, and I'll be stopping it and breaking it down, and I will play the full video at the end if you guys want to see what else they are building in Africa. But a few minutes of this video is extremely important, and there's also a video of Jacob Zuma, the UK, and another one that I want to play for you guys to truly understand the dangers that we are in by switching colonial masters. People will say the Chinese people brag and pride themselves in the fact that they've never colonized Africa, which is true. They've never colonized us, but that doesn't mean that they've never taken from us. That doesn't mean that they don't have a chokehold on us. What's Uncle P talking about?
Africa funded by China. These projects are all huge undertakings, and they're sure to have a major impact on the development of the continent. Before we start, it should be noted that some of these projects are currently underway, while some are already completed or are almost completed, and some are already completed as we speak. Now, let's get started.
Number 12.
The Angola LNG project. This $14 billion project is already completed and is one of Angola's greatest foreign investments. The project entails building an LNG plant, a natural gas pipeline, and a port terminal. The LNG project will generate 13 million tons of LNG per year, which will be exported to Europe and Asia. The Angola LNG...
First pause. This is in Angola, my country. The Chinese have literally taken over Angola. Let me just put that out there already. This plant is sucking our natural resources. And where is it sending it to? China and Europe. People will say this will benefit Angola what? With employment. Okay, let's keep watching the video and we'll see if it will benefit Angola with employment.
The LNG project is a significant boon to the Angolan economy. Thousands of employment have been generated as a result of the initiative, which has helped to diversify the Angolan economy.
Please just pay attention. Thousands of employments have been created. I don't know why the person is pronouncing Angola. Angola. I don't know what they're saying, but it's Angola.
The project has also helped Angola lessen its reliance on oil exports. The Angola LNG project is a success story for China-Africa cooperation. The project is a win-win for both China and Angola, and it's a sign of the growing economic ties between the two countries.
Number 11.
Please pay attention to all the countries and the president that is shaking their hands.
11.
The Ethiopia-Djibouti Railway. This $4.8 billion railway project was finished in 2017, and it has already had a significant influence on the Ethiopian and Djiboutian economies. The railway cut travel time between the two nations in half, from 12 to 6 hours, and it encouraged commerce and economic development. The Ethiopia-Djibouti Railway is a vital connection in the Horn of Africa's transportation network. The railway has aided in connecting Ethiopia's landlocked economy to the sea, as well as improving ties between Ethiopia and Djibouti. The Ethiopia-Djibouti Railway is a success story for China-Africa cooperation. The project is a win-win for both China and Ethiopia, and it's a sign of the growing economic ties between the two countries.
Number 10.
The Zambia-China Railway. This $1.2 billion railroad project is now under development and will be finished in 2023. The railway will connect Zambia's copper belt.
Guys, just notice that all these are railways and everything that is connecting, it has to do with natural resources. Right now, copper in Zambia, Angola, petrol. Our natural resources are being exported out of our continent to develop Europe and China.
Province with the Tanzanian port of Dar es Salaam, boosting copper exports from Zambia. The Zambia-China Railway is a major infrastructure project that demonstrates China and Zambia's developing economic connections. The railway is predicted to have a favorable influence on both nations' economies, and it is a project worth following.
Number 9.
The Mozambique LNG project. This $20 billion project is still in its early phases, but it is projected to be one of Mozambique's greatest foreign investments. The project entails building an LNG plant, a natural gas pipeline, and a port terminal. The LNG project will generate 12 million
Exported to Europe and Asia. Currently, Mozambique doesn't even have a president. Mozambique is going through the worst. And they're developing this. And most of you will be like, yeah, but Uncle P, by the time they're done developing this, people will have employment. Keep watching.
tons of LNG per year, which will be exported to Europe and Asia. The Mozambique LNG project represents a significant potential for Mozambique. The project is intended to generate thousands of employment and possibly contribute billions of dollars to Mozambique's economy. The initiative also demonstrates the developing economic relations between the two countries.
Number 8.
The Mombasa-Nairobi Railway. The railway will connect Kenya's two main cities, Mombasa and Nairobi, cutting travel time between them from 12 hours to 4 hours. The railway is also projected to help Kenyan commerce and economic growth. The Mombasa-Nairobi Railway is a standard gauge railway, which means it has broader tracks than Kenya's present small gauge lines. This will allow the railway to transport more freight and people while also making it simpler to link to other railway networks in the region. A Chinese corporation called China Road and Bridge Corporation is building the railway. The organization has extensive expertise in the construction of railways throughout Africa, and it has a strong reputation for quality and safety. The Mombasa-Nairobi Railway is an important infrastructure project that demonstrates China's developing economic connections with Kenya. The railway is predicted to have a favorable influence on both nations' economy.
Just paying attention that everything they're showing is the ports. It's all about export and import, taking things out of Africa.
And it is a project worth following.
Number 7.
Kakilo Kabaka Hydropower Plant, Angola. This $20 billion hydroelectric facility is Africa's largest. It will provide enough electricity to power 10 million households. The hydroelectric project is now under development and will be finished in 2026. It is intended to have a substantial influence on Angola's economy by providing a consistent source of electricity and reducing the country's dependency on imported energy.
Number 6.
New Luanda International Airport, Angola. This $5.7 billion airport is Angola's biggest. It will carry 12 million people per year.
You are telling me right now, with all the airports that we have, with all the money that Angola have, all the petrol and everything, we couldn't build ourselves an airport ourselves. We needed the Chinese to come and build it. An airport is not just built. It's gonna need planes. Where are those planes gonna come from? That means the Chinese are gonna buy those planes. Guys, I don't know the ignorance that Africa and our leaders have in selling Africa, but the ignorance, we first sold it to the Europeans. Okay, the Europeans came and they colonized us, they took it by force. Even after they gave it back to us, they still controlled us. And this is what Jacob Zuma actually explains in this video.
Now some people are asking, what exactly is China doing in Africa? What's your take on that?
Western countries have come to Africa for centuries to rob Africa of its resources. They should be admitting what they've done. Some are rich because of the resources they took from Africa. They never thought of helping Africa to develop. They subjugated Africa. They took the political power, economic power, and then made us therefore socially to have no power at all. We had to fight to liberate ourselves. They were never here to help. They were here to rob. After decolonization, they continued to do so. They could no longer use political power. They influenced it indirectly, but they held on to the economic levers of these countries. They were dominating, they were benefiting, they were doing nothing to help us. They created banks that were instruments of subjugating us. They would say, for an example, to the IMF, when the IMF will say, my country's in trouble, can you help? It would put conditions that would put you in a worse situation than before. So it was not helping. What China is doing, China is coming and saying, here we are. We know where you come from. We are here to work with you. For the first time, when China came here, highways began to emerge in the continent of Africa that were never there when they were here all the time. China is working with us. FOCAC is one example that China as a country is ready to sit down and discuss how do we help, how do we relate to one another. And perhaps many other FOCAC.
So let's assume that this is true, okay, which we all know it's not, because there's no way anybody does anything without trying to benefit. Let me show you what's happening.
Holy crap, what am I reading? So the British Royal Navy is ending their practice of having exclusively Chinese people do the laundry on their ships. Yeah, for the last 100 years in the British military, the tradition is to have a literal Chinese laundry on board. And now they've put an end to it. But not for the reason you think. No, apparently the optics of this wasn't the problem. The deciding factor was that the Navy was afraid these guys were at risk of becoming spies for Beijing, which I guess is valid, but also still racist.
So everybody is now getting scared of the Chinese going into their countries and becoming spies, which is true. And most people may say, yeah, but Uncle P, but guys, why did they have an agreement like this with Britain? From the videos that you watched earlier on, it always spoke about exporting to China and Europe. So Europe still benefits, even though they are losing power in Africa, they are gaining it through BRICS. They are gaining it through those that will join BRICS. They are gaining it through China. Where does Africa benefit from all this? And people are wondering, but Uncle P, we're going to get employment. No, we're not.
So they go in, build an airport, build a road, build water, build everything. They take Chinese employees in to give those Chinese employees jobs. They work, they create all this infrastructure, and the local country signs a lease that says the Chinese government can use this for their own purposes. So now China just built 10 military bases all around the globe. They just call them airports until the time comes that China calls in the favor on their lease and says, hey, we're going to move military transports and military troops.
Angola is getting a whole airport. That is a military base. They can land whenever they want to do as they desire. China is now owning Africa. And we will never be able to repay back this debt. Ever. On the next episode, I'm going to show how we don't benefit anything. Listen, the economy benefits, the government and all the big people will benefit. But the people down here, the average individuals, benefit absolutely nothing from China walking into Africa and doing all these conundrums that they're doing. The video that I used in the beginning, I'll play the rest of it at the end of the show. You guys can watch it. I'm your boy Uncle P. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Nigerian Railway Modernization Project, Nigeria. This $12 billion railway project is Nigeria's largest. It is planned to upgrade and link the country's railway network. The railway is presently being built and is scheduled to be completed in 2027. It is intended to have a substantial influence on the Nigerian economy by lowering transportation costs and making it simpler for people to commute between major cities.
Number 4.
Tanzania-Zambia Railway. This railway project will improve trade by connecting the two countries. It is projected to cut travel time between Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and Lusaka, Zambia, from 24 to 12 hours. The railway will also transport copper and other minerals from Zambia to the Dar es Salaam port. The railway is projected to have a considerable influence on both countries' economy. It will make it simpler and less expensive to carry products between the two nations, boosting commerce and investment. The railway will also provide employment, both during building and once operating.
Number 3.
Gambia-Senegal Bridge. This bridge is the Gambia River's first permanent crossing. It is projected to increase bilateral trade and tourism. The bridge will also make travel between the two nations easier, which will foster integration and collaboration. The bridge is projected to have a substantial influence on both countries' economy. It will make it simpler for items to be transported between the two countries, boosting commerce. The bridge will also make transit between the two nations easier for visitors, which will enhance tourism.
Number 2.
colonial Secretariat. This is the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa's headquarters. It is anticipated to improve regional integration by serving as a key meeting and working site for colonial leaders. A library, a conference facility, and a training center will also be housed in the Secretariat. The colonial Secretariat is projected to have a substantial economic influence on colonial member countries. It will serve as a meeting place for officials from member countries to discuss common issues and possibilities. The Secretariat will also give member nations with technical help in areas like as commerce, investment, and customs.
Number 1.
African Union Headquarters. This is the African Union's headquarters. It is one of Africa's most prominent projects, and it is planned to serve as a symbol of unity and growth for the continent. The African Union Commission, the Pan-African Parliament, and the African Court of Justice will all have offices within the headquarters. The African Union headquarters is projected to have a significant influence on the political and economic growth of the continent. It will serve as a focal point for African leaders to gather and discuss shared challenges and possibilities. The headquarters will also serve as a symbol of Africa's prosperity and togetherness. These are just a few of the many ongoing